Is talk to you a little bit about Portland, Oregon. You probably don't know a whole lot about us. You know we're up here somewhere in the top left corner of the map. We're kind of near Seattle. There's a lot of trees. It rains a lot in the winter. But there's actually a lot more to us than that. Portland as a city has almost 2.5 million people, and it's growing. It's a lot bigger than you think. We have a reputation as a fun, quirky city. We've got great food and restaurants. Great outdoor access. You can see Mount Hood there in the background for skiing in the winter and hiking and biking in the summer. We've got the Oregon coast and beaches about an hour and a half the opposite direction. And Portland, at this size, is a very livable city as well. You can still get around. It's big enough to have what you need, but not too big to make it too big of a headache. So those attributes make it very attractive to working talent, to companies looking to recruit people. Find a lot of the people that they're looking for are attracted to Portland. This started with Nike, which is headquartered in the next suburb over, and we have some other apparel headquarters here as well. But it started attracting people they like to call the creatives, the creative class. And these are people, whether it's graphic designers or computer programmers, these are the people that companies are looking to hire. They're moving here in droves. And it's a virtuous cycle, so there are jobs here for them. The more of them move, the more other companies know that there's a talent pool here. They're opening up, regional offices specifically to tap that talent pool, and it just brings more and more and more people into Portland. So with all these people moving to Portland, the question is, where do those people want to live? The pictures you're going to see here as I talk are all of homes that are a walking distance from the subject property. Portland has a lot of older housing stock that was never torn down, and a lot of old commercial stock that was never torn down. And that old housing stock means that we've got a lot of older, close-in neighborhoods that are close to downtown. And those are the really in-demand parts of Portland. What you'll see is a lot of people have the same dream. They want to move, find this cute old house, a cute old bungalow, and they want to fix it up how they want. Obviously, it doesn't always happen. And as people have moved here and prices have gone up, people are being priced out of the homes. And that's kind of the market we're looking to capture with the condos that we're doing here. And that gets to the heart of the problem, right? Is there enough housing for all those people, and what does it cost? The answer is there's not enough. Portland is bursting at the seams and trying to build and build and build to move for the people moving here, and prices are going up. One of the other price pushes that we have here that's unique to Portland is that we have an urban growth boundary surrounding the city and its suburbs. What this means is that a lot of American cities have kind of a sprawling suburbs going to exurbs, going to rural section at the edges, and in Portland we don't have that. We've got a much clearer divide. You go from houses to rural pretty quickly. That growth boundary pushes growth back in towards the center of the city, pushes people back in towards the city, and because you're restricting the amount of land available for building, it pushes prices up. As a result, Portland is gentrifying rapidly. Prices are going up across the board, especially in these older, closer neighborhoods that we're looking at here. We have for years had among the highest year-on-year price increases in the country. Us in Seattle, it's been over 10% for years, and I think we're still just under 10% now. And we're considering that slow growth for this part of the country. And as you can see from the pictures here too, with those increase in costs, increase in prices, whereas some people are buying the old houses and fixing them up, a lot of the smaller and older and more beat up properties are being torn down and just new builds. And often those are super modern, as you can see right here. Again, all of this is walking distance from the subject property. This is what's going on in that neighborhood. It's a very in-demand neighborhood, and it's one of those neighborhoods that people, when they think of Portland and they want to move here, and they've got the good job, this is the heart of where they want to be. So I had talked a little bit previously about the old housing stock and commercial stock that was in Portland. This neighborhood obviously has some of the old housing stock. It is also on both sides of the subject property. You have two of the old commercial streets that have a bunch of the old commercial stock as well. These pictures you're going to see are all from the North Mississippi Avenue Historic District and from the Williams District. So Mississippi is 2 blocks to the west of the subject property. Williams is about 5 blocks east. And this is a thing about old Portland neighborhoods. When they were built originally, they were built in a pedestrian-friendly way. So you had these commercial strips that are still spread throughout the city that were surrounded then by houses around them. Because it was never torn down, that infrastructure is still there. And so this is kind of, when I was talking before about the dream of the people moving here and they want to find that old property, they want to fix it up, they want to live walking distance to one of these old commercial strips. Now the old hardware stores and whatnot have largely gone away and they've been replaced by high-end boutiques and restaurants and bars, but that exactly is, the people we're looking to target with these condos are the exact type of people who are going to want those kind of amenities near where they live. Much like the housing stock, some of the old storefronts have been torn down and redeveloped. This is on Mississippi, just a couple blocks away from the subject property. Mississippi has retained a lot of its old character. Some of the other commercial streets around have been torn down a lot and have a lot of this going on. That's actually one of the charms, I think, of Mississippi is that it is a historic district and they have tried to preserve that old character. One of the other things that's interesting about Portland is Portland has a goal of what they call 20-minute neighborhoods. They want within 20 minutes of your residence by bike or by foot. They want you to have access to all of the necessities you need in your day-to-day life. This neighborhood that we're looking at is more like a 3-minute neighborhood or a 5-minute neighborhood rather than a 20-minute neighborhood, but the commercial strips that we're looking at here are kind of the anchors that they're talking about when they're looking for those 20-minute neighborhoods. Both streets have neighborhoods and bars. We've switched over now, and this is North Williams, which is also a biking street, which you can see from the bike lane there. Again, great restaurants right along here, great bars, great stores, and the organic food store is directly behind where this photo was taken. The other nice thing about this area, as I mentioned, the bike lane is there because this is pretty close to downtown. It's just a bridge. It's essentially a bridge right away. This neighborhood, if you want to drive, you're looking at a short drive to downtown. We've got the bikes to get downtown. There is the Max Light Rail, which also gives you access to downtown. And all these go right through the neighborhood and make it a very, very connected neighborhood to the rest of the city. And that goes to exactly, again, who we're looking for here. This is North Williams during rush hour. This is not a special event. There are actually this many bike commuters every day on North Williams. I have not seen anywhere else, in this country at least, that has this many people biking to and from work every day and using their bikes to get around and do stuff. Portland has the highest rate of that in the country. And again, that goes to part of the lifestyle choices that we're looking at with our target audience here. These people are the type of people who may not have a car, may not want to have a car. They want to be able to walk to where they want to go. They want to be able to bike to work. They want to be able to get around and do the things they want to do without having to worry about the costs and headaches of a car. And again, this neighborhood is just perfectly situated for all of that. So with all of that demand and all that growth that we're seeing here, there is of course a building boom going on in Portland as well. These photos are all taken about 4 or 5 blocks south of the subject property. And these show a lot of new construction going in. This is actually Mississippi Avenue right here. At the top of this hill is where you get into the historic district. And these are all apartments that are going up because the demand for housing is so strong that you're seeing this kind of building going on all around the neighborhood. And I'm hoping to get some more pictures of this out of the drone photos. The good news is, as far as competition, these are apartments, these are not condos. A lot of what's going in is apartment buildings. There's not a ton of condo competition. And also, uniquely for this subject property, because we are small condos, nestled into a neighborhood. We are very different than what else is out there, and I think it's a very strong piece of what is going to make our condos so attractive to prospective buyers is that small neighborhood feel. You know, you're not in one of these huge apartment blocks or huge condo blocks that you see around. So getting into a little bit of the development, having just looked at those pictures, this is a development map of Portland. This shows projects that are going on, planned to completion. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit here on our target area. Our property is right in this area right here. We talked about Mississippi, and this is Mississippi Avenue right here, where you can see the construction that's gone on there. This is Williams. You know, as I said, Mississippi's a little more protected, whereas Williams is a little more wide open. And then over here you have MLK, which is also walking distance. It's a little bit further. I don't consider it part of the core neighborhood. But all this, I mean, there's some fantastic restaurants here, and this is also walking distance. When I talk about access, this is the interstate highway here, I-5. This is the bridge you take via car to get into downtown. Downtown is a little bit south right over here. When you're talking about the bike commuters, they come down and they actually cross over this bridge right here, the Steel Bridge. And then this next to the Interstate Highway is the confusingly named Interstate Avenue. Interstate Avenue is where the Max light rail train comes down. So these apartments here are all going up along here because it's easy access to get onto the Max to get into town. And the Max also crosses here. If you know a little bit about Portland, you've probably heard about the Pearl as kind of being the hip happening spot. This is the Pearl, right across the bridge from the subject property. Pearl used to be a lot of rail yards, derelict properties, old warehouses, stockyards, and just vacant land. And it started redeveloping. I think the first project started in the 80s and 90s, and now it's full of cranes building 20 and 30-story condo towers. It's going nuts down there. On to the next, we're looking at Mississippi Avenue. This is an interactive map put together by the neighborhood association, and it shows you what's there. I talk about the shopping and the food, and the bars and whatnot, and this just gives you an idea of how much there is. And I think this is crazy because this to me looks like something you would see at a mall information kiosk, but this is actually, you know, individual buildings, individual stores, but the neighborhood is that vibrant. And they care that much about their community that they put together these kind of resources for people coming in. And it should be clear, this is not just for the locals. This is people who are coming in, you know, whether it's the suburbs here or Portland has lately become a vacation destination that people want to come and take a look at. You come, you eat good food, you go check out wine country. Some of the best Pinot Noirs in the world are made right here in Oregon. And it's become a destination in its own right. And again, the subject property is right at this corner right here. So that's beach, and we're right here off of Mississippi. We are that close to all of this. Same thing here with Williams District. This is their map. They also have their own association that puts this stuff out, trying to get people to be aware of what's there and come and enjoy it. And again, all of this is this close to subject property. It's when I talk about just how great of a location this is tough to beat. Again, this is beach right here. You come over this way, and we're a little bit off the map, but the subject property would be right here off the beach. In Williams, this is again the biking street. This is where during rush hour the bikes all come up here, and then this is one way. The other way coming down, this is the way everyone gets to work in the morning. So getting back into the neighborhood, Portland being a quirky city, tiny houses are big here. Tiny houses, as they sound, are a couple hundred square foot houses that are fully functional as such. So here are two tiny houses on a property. This is 1 block away from the subject property. And the pink one on the right there is actually on Airbnb and rentable, if you feel like going and taking a look at it. And finally, this is a good example of a new build in the neighborhood. This isn't just in the neighborhood, this is literally across the street from the subject property. And I picked this out for two reasons. One was proximity. I mean, literally, I talk about, you know, what's going on, the gentrification. This isn't, you know, down the block. This isn't, you know, 4 blocks away. This is right across the street. We really are in the heart of where this is going on. The other reason is the style of this house is Northwest Modern, and that's kind of the style we'll be going with for the building when it's done. So, pretty simple, smooth siding like this, little pieces of cedar siding mixed in between the window and the edge of the building, whatever. That's kind of the general design theory we've got going for the project. So, having said that, let's take a look at the buildings. Here they are in all their glory, and they are beautiful. They are 2 fourplexes. Each one of these is 4 units for 8 units total. I'm going to talk a little bit about each one separately and talk about what we're going to be doing with each one of them. So this is Building A, or the 624 building. This is actually the bigger one. Every unit in here is 2 bedroom, 2 bath. They are all mirror images. Upstairs and downstairs are the same, and they are mirror images of each other, so it's very, very simple, very easily done. All the units are a little under 1,000 square feet, which is a fine size for what you find here in Portland. Looking at it from here, you've got the windows obviously are being fixed. The bigger openings there are going to be doors. We are hoping historically there were balconies out the front of this building. We are hoping the city will let us go back with balconies here to give some outdoor space. If they don't, then we're going to make these little princess balconies with doors that open up, with not much more than a railing in front of them. But that's going to be a nice big feature at the front of these units. Again, keeping the roof line, flat roof. Siding is going to be going up. A little bit of cedar siding patches here or there between the windows or the windows in the corners. We've got you can see there used to be 2 stairways going up to the main door. We're fixing obviously the platform to get up there, putting a new one in, and putting in stairs on each side as well. So we have both stairs going up there. This is the smaller building of the 2. This is also 4 units. You'll have 2 that are 2 bed, 1 bath, and those are about 600 square feet. And you've got 2 that are 1 bed, 1 bath, and those are going to be about 400 square feet. A little more on both of those because this building's a little more than 1,000 square foot footprint. Same idea, upstairs, downstairs. It should be pretty similar. Looking at this building, the next picture is better for this, but the roof is shot, and it's not just the roofing materials, it's the actual decking underneath. So we're going to have to completely replace the roof. In doing so, we're actually just going to make it a flat roof. We're going to make it look a lot like the one next door. So these start looking like 2 buildings that were meant to be together, and not just 2 random buildings that happen to share a tax lot, which is kind of what they look like now. The other big thing here is the windows are obviously a problem as they sit. We need to A, enlarge them for egress because a lot of these open up to bedrooms, and B, we need to line them up and just make it more visually appealing for the outside of the building. Again, same style, siding everywhere, a little bit of cedar siding mixed in. This is the side of the building. Same concept here, enlarge the windows, even them out, make it look better. That old siding goes, new siding goes on. And there's your example of just how bad a shape the roof is in. It needs to go. Looking at it back here from the corner, this is the access to these units. And you can see it's a smaller building, which means we've got some outdoor space to work with here that we don't have with the other building. So that's the plan for these, is compensating for the small size. Right now you've got the little stairway going up to the small, not much of a deck, it's more access. We're actually going to take decks off the whole back of this building, and we're going to make them 8 or 10 feet. We're going to make them big decks. So you've got a real outdoor entertaining space. You can put your grill out there, and it adds to most condos of this size are not going to have that kind of outdoor entertaining space. Below the decks, we're going to have patios to match the sides of the decks, and then sticking out a little bit past that, we're going to have a little bit of a yard or garden area, and all that's going to be fenced in for privacy for the bottom 2 levels. So looking at it from the back here, that stairway is going to be kind of where it is now, but it's going to be a lot closer to the fence towards us this way, and then it'll do a turn and go up right in the middle of the building with the decks on each side, and then the space out here below for the fenced-in areas. One of the things we're hoping to get here is going to be people who are maybe, they're trying to, they want to live in this neighborhood, they can't afford the houses, and you're looking at, this is the only option they have for something they can afford, where they can actually have a little outdoor space to let their pets run around, their dogs, their cats, whatever. And I guess this is a good time to mention that too. one of the things about this is these are going to be the cheapest things in this neighborhood. They're going to be all new, modern, nice condos, and they're going to be small, but they're going to have outdoor space, and there's a sort of a price floor in the neighborhood, and we are going to be actually a little below that price floor. We're going to be cheaper than anything else around. If you want this neighborhood and you can't afford, the $700,000 it costs to buy a house here, this is your option, and I think that's where we're going to get the demand on these units. Finally, the other thing we're going to have, this is the basement of the larger building. Under the smaller building is a crawl space. It's not really usable space, but this is big enough to turn into storage areas. There's going to be, there are just simple math. There's about 250 square feet per unit down here. We're going to lose some of that just for access, walking, hallways, and we're doing bike storage down here as well. But each unit is going to have 150, 200 square foot storage unit to keep their stuff. So getting back to who our target demographic is here, you're going to have, if you want to go, you wake up in the morning, you got to go to work, you walk down here, you grab your bike out, protected from the elements and from being stolen, bike storage, walk it out, get it up, and go to work. And then on the weekends, you come down here, you go to your storage unit, you pull out your skis, your surfboard, your kayak, whatever it is you want to do. This is where you keep all of your stuff for your lifestyle. So they may be small units for your actual living space, but you've got a lot of storage for the rest of the stuff that supports what you're looking to do. I think we've got a couple more pictures here. Yeah, it's a expansive area. So I think that's going to wrap it up. I want to say thank you for taking the time to listen to this and look at the pictures. I hope you found it informative and interesting. A lot of the more detailed numbers and stuff like that can be found in the lender information packet that comes along with this. We've got building plans and drone video. I believe all of those are available on the Realty eVest site. And then again, we reference some websites on this. We've got the Portland Development Map, the Mississippi Avenue Historic District map, and Williams District map. Those are the websites, if you want to take a look at those things, where you can find them. Thank you very much again for taking the time, and I hope you invest with me.